We're ready. All right. Hello, everyone. This is Karriem Kanston, the encourager, here to motivate you and inspire you in your life, your career, and your business. And welcome to Be Encouraged TV, where we bring on guests that have an encouraging message that we want people to share, or they have an encouraging product or message. And so today we have my great friend, Janelle Clarke Holley, and she's going to be talking about removing relationship roadblocks. So, Janelle, if you could introduce yourself to our audience, and we're just going to get started talking about this topic, which, I mean, listen, I don't even know if I want to talk about the topic, but since you brought it up, I guess we'll do it.
Wonderful. First of all, I do want to thank you for even providing me with the opportunity to really get onto your platform and share a little bit about what it is that I do. Because what I have the opportunity to do is to really do God's work for my life. And for so long, I have had the opportunity to have amazing opportunities put before me. But in all that I did, I could almost feel that inner burden of, this is just to take you to the next level. This is just to take you to the next level. And I'm so excited that I finally landed in the place to which He's destined my life for. And the work that I get to do every single day as I work with clients to support them is I assist individuals in removing and really removing relationship roadblocks in order to receive and reciprocate love. Because I truly believe everyone wants to be in a relationship. Everyone wants to have a successful business that allows them to take risk, but to also know that they're going to be okay. And that's the great work that I get to do every day.
Wow. Listen. Before you start talking about the topic, you like threw a nugget about destiny and stuff like why is that important for you to even talk about destiny, and people should be destined for something?
You know, we're all given, I say this all the time, right? We're all given the same amount of hours every single day.
So true.
We have the opportunity to watch some people use those 24 hours in a way that, again, for me, it's not about money. It's not about the finances, right? Because I believe personally, I can make more money. Every one of us can always make more money. What we can't make is more time.
So true.
So time for me has, as I've grown older and wiser, is more important than any other facet. And some of the other things just help me to have more time. So when I have more money, I'm able to do more things. I'm able to spend some quality time and not have to necessarily work a 9 to 5, not to manage every aspect of my business on my own. So it's not that I'm working for the money to say I make 6 figures, 7 figures, or whatever. I'm working to buy time to be with my family, to be with my loved ones. So really, that's the passion. And the passion for me is, I've been in finance and I've done fiscally well based on, standards of fiscally doing well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because everybody got those standards, right? Where you can go to a car dealership and pick out the car you want, right? And that's a blessing. And I'm thankful for God for that. And then I became an educator. And because I felt a burden, I recall being in finance and sitting with some colleagues and being like, the American education system is failing. And I almost had like an out of body experience, because I was like, I can sit on the sidelines and complain about American education, or I could try to do something about it.
Yeah.
So initially it started with like volunteering, with members of my sorority. It then blossomed into, I want to do more. So then I went back to school, became a teacher, and I was like, okay, I'm naive. I was like, I'm going to save all the kids. Because you're like, I'm in here, I'm dedicated, I'm going to make this happen. But I realized I could only impact my students in my class. So then I said, well, now I have to become a leader because I really want to make a difference. Yeah. And as I did the leadership, that was phenomenal. I got opportunities to really become a turnaround principal, and all of that was wonderful. But what I realized was I was getting to a point where I was spending so much of my time focused on other kids and other families.
Yes.
I couldn't strengthen my own family. And it was at that moment that I was like, I remember it super clear. where I got down on my knees and I said, okay, God, what is it that you have called me to do? Because I realized that until I move into that moment, I am not going to really get to the place where I'm going to have an inner peace. And it was at that moment
So true.
called to do this work. And I was like, all right, I'm obedient because I know you're gonna win anyway, guys.
That's right.
Really.
So let's talk about relationship roadblocks that you the top.
So for me, one of the things that I come to realize is people are walking around with so many past experiences that they haven't had the time to process. And those relationships really impact every facet of their lives. So it impacts your business model. It impacts your relationship with your soulmate. It impacts the relationship you have with your kids. It even impacts the relationship you have with yourself.
Wow.
And what happens is if you don't take the time to deal with past hurt, to deal with past pain, to deal with recognizing what you value and what your beliefs are, then you consistently keep moving in patterns where you look back and you try to figure out, why aren't I having the level of success I need to have? And it's because you haven't dealt with those roadblocks.
That's right. That's right. Wow. That's no joke, right? So many of us have roadblocks. And can you just say like a couple of roadblocks that people have that they think is not a roadblock?
Touching themselves. And I'm going to pick up this bottle of soda just as an example, right? So I'll use this as you and I are both married, happily married, blessed to be, connected to our soulmates, right? Which in and of itself is a blessing. But if I wake up in the morning and I am late for a meeting and that frustrates me because I like to be punctual, that's like shaking a soda bottle, right? And then on my way down the steps, one of the kids have left a toy. I almost trip and break my ankle. So that now frustrates me. Then I get downstairs and I get to the meeting and I realize, you know what? This meeting wasn't for another 30 minutes. So now I'm frustrated because I felt like I wasted my time and I was rushing. So now then I get downstairs and something isn't done, right? Something minuscule. The trash isn't taken out. I forgot to take down something I was going to cook, and that shakes it. So now, unfortunately, by the time that my husband comes to tell me good morning, it's like he's opening this bottle. Now, I'm not about to open this because y'all can see the fifth.
For real.
So that's just a quick example of the roadblocks. Now, he has done nothing. He did not make me late for my meeting. He did not make them reschedule it to a different time. He didn't put the toy on the floor. He didn't do any of that. But because of all of those particular roadblocks that I've just been through, now when he comes, I'm at a point where I'm ready to explode.
Wow. You all in people's sauce today, right? And then people wonder why did that person just lose it on me? Right?
Yeah.
It's because you caught them at a time where they couldn't release, right? They didn't have that time to release it once you got shooken once.
Yeah.
But you came to that third time, you just happened to be the person there.
Exactly. And really get into a point where we start to recognize before we get to that point where we're like, okay, you know what? I need to stop and take a minute.
Yes.
And to really be able to recognize our own emotions. What are we feeling at this moment? And to be able to stop. Again, the world we live in, it's always about what more can you get done? What more can you get done? What more can you get done? And I'm like, sometimes you got to stop before God stops you.
Wow. Or your health stops you. Listen,
yeah.
I've been there before, doing 80 hours a week, going to the board meetings, doing the work. And then you get to a point where your body's like, yo, dude, you got to rest.
Yeah. Yes.
You're not feeling well. And sometimes we put more on us than we can bear. And then we say, hey, God, deliver me. He's probably like, yo, you need to sit down and chill.
Exactly. He's like, I've been trying to deliver you. I've been trying to be obedient.
Yeah. So, talking about these roadblocks, like we all have blinders on. And I always like think about like when you're driving through a tunnel, you can't see what's outside of the tunnel until you get through it. Like like, why do we get frozen as people? And then I know there's a question here that you gave me about, how do we remove the roadblocks in relationships? Like, how do we get blinded or unblinded? And then how do we remove the roadblocks?
Removing the roadblocks is something that there's no information that anyone can provide that's new, right? And I say that upfront. I'm super transparent with the clients that I work with. However, what we don't do is we are trained in our profession. We go to school for our profession. We go to school, and for those of us, the first time you have a baby, 80% of the mothers are reading What to Expect When Expecting, right? And then now, if her significant other ain't reading it with her. So we get all of this training up front, all of this support for our businesses.
Yes.
We get this training for our jobs. But when it comes to investing in our relationships, that's where we're like, just because I'm with this person, they should know. Yeah. Well, do you know yourself enough? Because you've been with you for your entire life. And every day I discover something new about myself. So I can't hold my spouse to knowing me better than I know myself, because I've been knowing me longer. So really getting people to understand with those roadblocks, you need support. You need somebody who can be honest with you, but who's also going to give you strategies on how to succeed. And it's not just strategies. People, when I first started this work, it was exclusively about relationships. But now it's gotten to a point where it's about the relationship you have with your business. Because again, do you have a strategic plan? Are you working towards a goal? Are you working towards a focus? What's the relationship you have with yourself? If you don't like being around you, why are you subjecting other people to have to be around you?
Wow. You all in people stuff. Can somebody just say ouch right now? Like ouch.
I know. I forgot to tell you. I step on toes. I make you clutch your pearls too. I'm sorry. Because I'm honest.
I hear you. How can I say this? I want to be diplomatic. Somebody said, I heard this lady. She said, when I got married to this person, the reason why it didn't last because I brought 50 years of experience, and then he brought 50 years of experience. And when you add that up, that's 100 years of stuff we got to deal with. And we didn't deal with the stuff before we got married. Yes. And it was like a epiphany about how do we as people work on ourselves before we start getting other people involved. And you just said it.
You got to know you, right? Yeah. And, even I have a workshop coming up about celebrating the joy in your journey. Because we go through this journey of life, never taking the time to celebrate. We are absolutely skilled and gifted in recognizing what we don't do well.
Yes.
But when it comes to what we do well, taking a moment to celebrate that, not for a birthday, not for a holiday, but for the fact that this morning you woke up and you set a goal of completing these 6 things. That's At the end of the day, how are we celebrating that? Right? Because we absolutely know if we don't get one of those things done, we spend at least on average a minute to 5 minutes feeling frustrated about what we didn't get done.
Wow. Listen, we need this in this era. Like Janelle, listen, I know you since college and stuff, but I know, right? Listen, and we, I'm from Queens, you from Brooklyn. Yes. But what I mean, I think sometimes I get more help than people listening sometimes. But the thing about it, and it's giving me epiphany about, I'll be married 20 years in December 31st. And thank you. I did not get some of this stuff until just like a couple of years ago. And so I want to let you all know what she is saying is some true stuff. And a lot of times we have to work on ourselves before we try to work on somebody else. And we're trying to work on the other person, but we're not trying to work on ourselves. And then now we put the roadblocks in front of us because we're trying to help that person to change, but really we should be changing so then now that person can line up to what we're trying to do. So hopefully that helps some people, but I know you want to talk about how do you reciprocate love and all that stuff, but go ahead.
Yeah, and I do want to build on exactly what you said, because I say to people all the time, many of us, I've moved away from everybody, but many of us have flown pre-COVID. Fortunate, some of us have even had to fly during COVID. But they tell you on the plane to make sure, if in the case of emergency, to put on your face mask first.
That's right.
And naturally, that's not your first reaction for people you care about. But what I really want people to hold up is, if you don't put on your mask, you are going to pass out, so you can't help nobody.
That's right. That's right.
So if you are holding on to wanting to help, you need to make sure you're at a good place so you can help for a longer period of time.
Yes, yes.
And you asked the question about receiving and reciprocating love. And the reason that I focus on that as well is, I have people go through what I call a relationship journey process when they work with me as a client. And part of that is because people haven't taken the time to really go back and reflect on not only their past relationships, but the relationships that have influenced and impacted who they are.
Wow.
So often we expect people to be great wives, great husbands, but what did they see growing up?
You don't want to know what I saw. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's true. It's true.
Now, if I'm married to you and I have an expectation based on what my experience is, now I'm frustrated with you when you're like, look, based on what I saw, I'm 1,000% better than what it could be.
Yes, yes, yes.
But for your other person, if you guys haven't talked about what that person's experience, what that person's influences are, they're like, you ain't even bringing 5% to this table, and you're like, let me tell you, I'm bringing 1,000 up in here.
That's right. That's right. And it's so interesting. So I had a conversation with a good friend of mine, and he was saying to me, like, I bought a house because I wanted to show other people in my family they could buy a house. I went to college because I wanted to show other people in my family that I went to college, and he's trying to break a generational curse. Because if all of my family was told that welfare was the only place to get money, that's what we think. But I had to change my thinking, right? In order to change the thinking, I had to do something different. So what she's talking about is removing roadblocks, but also it's not about us, it's about trying to help other people too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when people start to have the aha, right? So this is what takes us into receiving and reciprocating love. Because once you start to get rid of those roadblocks, right? You're at a different place. You're at the popular phrase nowadays is the growth mindset, right? You're in a place where now you're open, you're receptive, you're like a sponge, because you're like, there's so much more I can do. Because my vision is clear.
That's right.
I'm not walking around carrying this luggage. So I'm lighter, and again, New Year's is coming up and everybody's gonna potentially, I'm gonna get healthy, I'm gonna lose 5 pounds, right? That's what's coming up. But it's really about when you are healthier, you can move differently.
Yes.
Right? Yes. It's just a fact, right? So when you are healthier, not carrying around that baggage, you can move differently. So when you start to learn about yourself, then you're able to articulate to others how you want to be treated.
Yes, yes.
Because you now know what you like. You now know what your value is.
That's right. I mean, you're bringing the pain because listen, I last couple of months that's been like a big thing on me about my health, man. Somebody said to me, like, if you're not around, then who's gonna take care of your family?
Hello,
right? And that's one of the things that and because we're in a COVID environment, we talk about COVID. It's not about you not wearing a mask or wearing a mask. It's about somebody else's life. And yes, you might not think your life is worth anything, but your life is worth something, people who's listening. And it's just not for you to be protected, for other people to be protected, so people can live long on the earth. So, we got to get it together. We got to think about other people before we think about ourselves. And that's the roadblock we got in our mind, right? It's holding us back to be empathetic,
Right.
So what else you got for us? Go ahead.
So the other part of that is it leads us into reciprocating love, right? How do we give love? Because we often have a tendency to love in the way that we want to be loved, right? So we can, and when it comes to our relationships, we think about, those 5 love languages. If my love language is words of affirmation, I am giving that because that's what I want to receive in return. But if my significant others is touch, me saying wonderful, kind things about them, while they appreciate it, it doesn't touch them in the same way it touches me if it's my language, right? And
Yes,
when
yes.
we look at this for even for our business, how are we reciprocating? And again, love is not something we think about when we're at a job. But when we have a business, when we are entrepreneur, how are we treating our clients? Are we
Well,
showing our clients that love, right? That
mm,
that not romantic love, but the love of I care enough about you to support you and get into the next level. I
that's
love
right.
my business enough that I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure my business is getting what it needs. I'm making sure my kids are getting what they need. I'm making
Yeah.
sure that my significant other is getting what they need, right?
Mm,
Because it's not just about me. So it's one thing to receive love, but to really have the full package, you have to also be able to give that love back. I mean, God told us it is
mm.
better to give than to receive.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
how are we showing up in all that we do?
It's so true. You talk about business owners, right? And it's so important because without customers, right, you have no business.
Hello.
And when you say a business owner, because I work with a lot of business owners, when you say you're tired of a customer or you're tired of these customers, then you probably might want to rethink if you want to be in business,
Mm.
because those are the people that bring an income to your
Yeah,
business,
that is
and
the business.
also right, and to help you to support your family. And so listen, customers are not a pain. You need to solve their problem. They're telling you what their experience is, so you can help them out. And so without customers, you have no business. So you
Hmm.
know what, you gotta love them. If you don't love them, then you probably just go need to get a job
Yeah.
and work on work. And the
Right.
same thing with the employees that work with you, right? When you have employees and you're telling your employees don't care about customers, that's telling that you don't love the people that's bringing a revenue to your business. I'm just
Absolutely.
saying. I'm just saying. Drop the mic on that one.
I love that. I'm just saying, right?
Right. That's right.
And I tell people to this, even in the physicality of your business, right? So I also support, individuals with strategic planning around their organizations, because people come to me and they're like, I want to strengthen my business. I'm like, what's the relationship you have with your business? Who's your ideal client?
Mm.
And then they're like, anybody who has money. I said, well, no, 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 no. That ain't it, right?
That's not
That
it.
ain't it, right? And let's really dig down to who is the ideal person. If you can only get one person to work with, one group to work with, who are they?
That's
Because
right.
now when you see that person as a human, your behaviors change. You respond to that. You think about how you can invest in yourself to then invest in them. And you
That's right.
do that because there's a love, right?
Mm.
And it's really about understanding how these mechanisms aren't in isolation.
Mm.
They're super interconnected. So really in your business model, thinking about what is the things that you need to leave behind so you can move forward. How
That's
can you
right.
show your business love? How are you showing up in your relationships?
Mm. So
How are
true.
you?
The other thing too. I usually sometimes use this analogy about why people need to connect with a person like Janelle, to get a coach on certain topics, is because if you look at the NFL, the quarterback usually after they finish plays, they go back on the bench and then they sit down next to the coach or whoever, and they start showing them film and pictures. And the reason why they do that is because they see stuff that the quarterback didn't see. Who was open, who was not open, what. And that's why you need a coach. They can see stuff that you can't see. And sometimes, no, all the time, you need somebody to have more eyes on your issue or your problem, because you only see it from what you see it, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a business owner and you say, man, I'm not getting enough sales, I'm not, but you're in your little zone, but you get somebody else that can help you out and say, well, have you thought about defining your customer? Because there's no way that everybody's your customer. Your customer might be woman between the age of 25 and 35, and they live in a certain community.
Yeah.
That's how you got to be so specific,
Yes.
down to like, what are they wearing, where do they shop, how many kids they have, do they not have kids, are they single? Because if you don't know who you're serving, you're going to try to serve everybody, and then that's where you explode.
Yes. 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 Listen, people. He just gave y'all a nugget. Pay attention.
For real, for real.
To where the point where I can see my clients. And I see them because I care about them. And that's what I say, doing this work about removing these roadblocks to receive and reciprocate love is because as I show up for my clients so that they can show up for themselves,
Yes.
the impact is huge. The impact is huge on the expediency of how they garner success in all that they do. Because like you said, you guys magically, again, congratulations, 20 years is a blessing, right? But I'm sure through those experiences, there's been some moments where you guys have had to lean on the Lord, right? I mean, I've only been married almost 10 years, and I know we've had to lean on the Lord, right? So it's always about how do you figure out, how do you have the tools before you need the tools?
That's right. That's right. And you gotta store up a lot of credit in the prayer and the love bank, and one of the things people, I'm gonna put it out here because our people that look like me, they don't believe in counseling. I'm just gonna say it. They don't believe in counseling. Let me tell you something. We did pre-counseling, after counseling, after the counseling, whatever. Y'all need to get some counselors and some coaches around your relationships because you can't do it alone, right?
No.
We have a certain capacity in our minds, and sometimes we got to get other people's help, right? And so that means that we gotta be vulnerable. That means that we have to be honest because so many people are using the exit plan, right? Which starts with a D called divorce, as before they get married, I got a plan to get divorced already. Like, come on, man, why get married then? That means that you're not fully committed, right? And that's why you need some people to be around you that can help you through this thing because it's not easy. And that's why a lot of people don't do it nowadays.
Yeah. And I will say this. I mean, I don't think there's a married person I know who won't tell you marriage is work, right? People see the wedding and they're like, "Oh, that was so beautiful," right? And that day is awesome.
Yes.
It's beautiful day. Right? It's magical. And that's great. But that is a day in time. And I will say this, right? Marriage, I highly recommend it, right? I absolutely would not be where I am today if it were not for my significant other. And I'm so thankful because in doing the work I do, I know he compliments me. He doesn't complete me. God completes me. My husband compliments me so that I can complete the work God has called me to do.
That's right.
And really understanding that, I could not imagine, nor do I want to imagine my life without him. So marriage, while it is work, it is the most rewarding experience in life. And I highly recommend it if you have the right person and if you've worked on you.
That's right. Listen. I told one of my friends I'd rather go to a fight with my wife than by myself. So I'm just being honest with you. I know she got my back. I know that she's been through the battles and trials with me. She knows my strengths and my weaknesses. And so and so y'all just got to get that. Like, stop trying to do everything by yourself.
Yes.
I'm just saying, and stop trying to tell the other person to change. How about you change first, and then maybe they might want to change. I'm just saying.
Right. And that's something that often women, when I get the experience, sometimes I'll have a sister circle, right? And they'll often come in, especially those who aren't married, and be like, I can see the potential in him. And I'm like, listen, traditionally, women expect a man to change. However, men expect their significant other to not change, right? So the assumption is that size 6 pants you got into, freshman year of college, that after 2 or 3 kids down the road, you still gonna be able to fit in that size 6 pants. And I'm like, listen, none of y'all got it right? Because everybody evolves and changes. So he's gonna change, but he's not gonna change because of you. And she is going to change, and not because of you. But how do you guys work through the growth, not necessarily the change of it?
Wow, that's so awesome. Listen, I think a couple of our friends are on. LaRon, Jennifer. Thank you all for the big ups. I don't know if anybody is watching that has any questions. I also put your link to your website down there, Janelle. So listen, y'all need to connect with her. I'm just saying, right? Sign up for a session or something and get that. I mean, listen, that relationship journey is a huge thing. You were talking about the love languages. That's Gary Chapman. Oh, such an awesome book. I remember my wife and I was getting some counseling, and our pastors gave us that book. Man, we was working that thing, and I'm like, wow, yeah. I'm the touch guy. She's the affirmation person. No wonder why she's always upset with me when I try to give her a hug or touch her. I'm like, now I know. So I got to be like, hey, can I touch you? Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So now, her being words of affirmation, being like, you look so amazing. It just touches my heart to be able to hug you. So now she's got the same feeling as when you hug her, right? So, but that's all the stuff that you need to learn and grow. And what I will say is, I appreciate you having my information there. And, this is the holiday season. So we all should be in the spirit of giving. So, as people go onto my website and they select under services for workshops, I am hosting a free masterclass because it's so important to me to be able to also give back, right? I'm able to work with people one-on-one. I'm able to work with people in a community of other like-minded people. But as God blesses you, you have to bless others. So again, I encourage everyone to go on to my website under the workshops from the service page and sign up for the free masterclass, and really begin to celebrate just the joy in your journey, wherever you are.
Wow. Awesome. Well, listen, this is our 30 minutes. Our time is up.
I like it.
I want to thank you for being my guest. I want to thank those that are watching live and those that will be watching the replay for Be Encouraged TV. Please, as Janelle said, go to her website, and I'm going to leave it with you, Janelle. Last minute word that you want to share.
As we leave 2020, there's many things that we want to leave behind in 2020. I really encourage everyone to boldly go into 2021, really knowing who you are and knowing what you expect and deserve as you move into 2021.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Janelle. Thank you, guests. Be on the lookout for our next interview for Be Encouraged TV. This is Karriem Kanston, the Encourager, and thank you all for watching. Peace, y'all.
Take care.